tribal scene process in 5 minutes. No less. All right, open up PureRef, bring in all your references. Try to take some references with your camera because that definitely helps. And also experiment with your brushes before you get started. Set up a folder system for yourself and remember to stay organized because everybody loves references and you can never have enough. And be sure to take references of yourself if you're having a hard time. Create color keys for your ideas, preferably more elaborate and detailed than this one. Thoughtful ideas. Have your camera and your light direction all set up in your thumbnails. What direction? North, east, south, or west? Also, what time of the day is it? Please check your hemisphere maps and local weather reports for further info. All right, and here's my scene. In cycles, yes, I started with cycles. The best thing to do is to turn your device to GPU compute. So you're using your graphics card for this. And I like optics. I just practice render with that because it's faster. And because I'm using image planes, I want my color management to be set to standard, not filmic. We don't want to whitewash this in the end. We just want it to be bringing crisp and clear colors. And what I'm doing here is the sparkle effect for the flower. Now, I brought an MOV and put it on an image plane just because I like the placement. Again, you could do this for a really quick concept, but in post-production, in the end, what you want to do is to hold out mats like the tree, and you want to actually put in, say, in After Effects, that sparkle thing on a different layer, probably not rendered out like this. Again, actually, you could put it in Nuke. What is Nuke? Well, it is actually a post-production software tool used primarily for VFX in film and TV series. Cha-ching! As you can see, I added the light ray in this scene. Again, I probably wouldn't do any glows or light rays. I wouldn't render that out. I would probably do it in post, just so that you have more control over it. But again, for a quick concept, just bash it in there. All right, and now I'm switching to the Eevee render, and it is less realistic. And again, we don't need realism because it's image planes. The only thing I really have to worry about is the water. What I like about Cycles is that I was getting reflections in the water. Unlike Eevee, it doesn't do like path tracing, anything like that. However, you can cheat it with an image plane. You can put one underneath what I've done here, and you can turn down the opacity, and that just makes it look like reflections in the water. So there you go, cheap effect in Eevee. You don't even have to use Cycles. But I did anyway. And for me, the hard part was just getting the ripples in the water, like the direction. And as you can see, I was like struggling. I couldn't even see it. If you're having trouble like seeing things, the obvious answer is just to put in like solid mode or whatever works best, previs mode in Blender. Crank up all your values. Just like, yeah, if you're putting out like 0.5, you can't see it. Obviously put it up at like 10. Just crank everything up so that you can clearly visualize what you're doing and go from there. For ya junior 3D artists. Hopefully it's helpful. This part is almost over. Just give it a second. Yeah, probably could have sped this part up. Alright, and here I'm working with simple HDRI maps just to get the color that I like for the 3D objects in the foreground. And just looking at that water too and how the screen space reflections are affecting it. Whether or not I like that color, I can always change it up. And I have those image planes set to shadeless. So again, this light is only going to affect the objects in the foreground. What I can also do is put my 3D objects in a separate scene and just light them that way and then copy them into the scene. And finally, you can key in Blender. You can comp in Blender.
Yay!
Shout out to music apps like Robo Native American Flute, which I decided to use GarageBand anyway. That is how I created this. Thank you. Now I'm just comping this comp so that I can export it out. Now I'm done.